from California, dreaming about who we used to be. We were younger and free. We forgot just what it felt like before the world fell at our feet. It's such a difference between us and the million miles. This is right. Come on. Hello from the other side. I know I've called 1,000 times to tell you I'm sorry for everything that I've done. When I call you, never seem to be gone. Hey ladies, come on. Say hello. Mr. Red. Uptown, you came to party. Hello. Southwest, 25. Yeah. Up the hill, come on. Hello. Boy, I got you moving. Set it off, fella. Hello. Hello. How are you? It's so typical of me to talk about myself. I'm sorry. And I hope that you well. Tell me, did you make it out of that town when nothing ever happened? It's no secret that the both of us are running out of time. Hello from the other side. I know I'm on 1,000 times to tell you I'm sorry for everything that I've done. But when I call you, never seem to be home. Hello from the other side. I know I've called 1,000 times to tell you I'm sorry for ever breaking your heart. But it's easy to live, doesn't tear you apart. Oh, I say hello.
Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Mignon Show. I am your host, Mignon.
And I'm your special co-host today, Asia.
Guys, we want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you're watching right now on YouTube, please, please, please subscribe to the channel. So, guys, we want to thank you so much for always supporting us and tuning in. We definitely want to thank our sponsors, the Lakeisha Brown Foundation, Manly's Blended Family, DeMarco Sola. So, thank you guys so much. So, hey, Asia.
Hey, man.
How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I am good. I am good.
You got a glow about you.
I do?
You do.
Like
a natural bronze.
Okay. Come on, bronze. Come
Touche.
through. Come through.
Yes.
Yes.
Was
well,
it the weekend that did it?
Well, I was in school all weekend.
For
I've been
what?
in training. I've been training and training and training. I was
Okay.
over at Bowie State University, and I am training to be a peer recovery specialist.
That's amazing.
Yes, I'm, moving with everything else that I'm doing right, moving
Yeah.
in on that mental health piece,
Working in your gift.
working in addictions and things like that. So I am excited.
That's good.
I am excited. And what I have found is that, with a lot of my training, it's a lot of the stuff that I've already known. We're dealing with the trauma of domestic violence and sexual abuse and those types of things. And also even my real estate background came up because, it brought up a lot of my housing things and also the ADA, the American Disability Act.
Okay.
So it's amazing how God will bring things full circle.
That is
for you, right?
absolutely true.
Yeah, so I'm excited. We got one more day in training. We got to go back this Saturday.
Okay.
I got to take 2 classes online, and then once I get my, I have to do 500 hours of internship.
Oh.
So once I do those hours, then I'll be able to get my certification. So I'm excited. It's a goal that by the end of this year I'll have that. And so moving into 2020, moving into another position.
You want to do it on your own?
Well, I have to, in that position, I have to work under someone that's in the mental health field. And so, I have some friends.
Listen, I know you.
I have a great friend who even made this whole thing possible, and I'm just gonna give her a shout out, Aisha Rosenborough.
thank you.
I love her to death, and just for her to provide this opportunity to me, it's amazing.
Absolutely.
Amazing. So I'm excited.
Well, I'm
about
happy
that.
for you. I'm
Thank
excited
you.
to see God
Thank
using you in another facet of life.
I know, right?
That's amazing.
I'm excited. I am really, really excited. So that's what I was doing the whole weekend, is studying
Hitting
and
them
learning.
books. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did some of that. I did a little bit of that.
What you do?
So I had a little girls' night. We hung out for dinner, a few friends, Saturday night, just to let it all go from last week, to unwind from the week before.
What happened? Well, hold on. Let's have for the week before, because you wasn't here.
I wasn't.
Because I only get to
here.
see you every third
That is
Monday of the
true.
month.
That is very true. It's been trying times. A lot of push-pull energy right now. It's a lot of full moon energy happening
We
out
talked
here.
about that full moon, right?
Listen, it's like you take 5 steps up, get knocked 3 back. You kind of got to eat a good breakfast and go back again. So you just, trying to tie up loose ends, everything for securing the book signing event and everything, just trying to move forward, dealing in logistics, still working a 9 to 5. I even had to go old school last week.
To do what?
And pop up in my son's 7th period class
What?
and just sit in the corner.
What?
And I told him in middle school, you'll get embarrassed. It's not elementary school where they like, hi, Xavier's mom. It's like, ooh. And sure enough, when I walked through the door, whose mom is that? And I told him, he said, but I've been behaving like I got it together. I said, oh, I know. I just needed you to know. I'll come up here.
Right.
Yeah, so I sat in
That's
the corner for
very
about
important.
45 minutes. I went old school.
Yeah, and he ain't know, right?
Did not
That's
know.
the best time.
Did
Don't
not
ever
know.
tell them when you come into the school.
Don't ever tell them because they can send it like this.
Yeah, like they don't do nothing. Like to catch them in the act.
Got to catch them in the act. Yes, indeed. So just making time for everything. Just putting a little bit in each necessary pot to just make this thing all come together. Yes, indeed.
So when you and the girls this weekend, this sleepover, what did y'all do?
Did-
Was y'all up all night?
No.
Or were these older girls or little girls?
No, our age.
Okay,
But definitely
okay.
nobody slept over. We just dinner, a little socializing, a little cackling. You know how we do when we get together. Yes. So no sleepover this time.
Okay,
We've
okay.
done it, but not this time.
Okay.
Yes, and in church yesterday.
Okay, so what was the message yesterday at church?
So we actually doing a month-long sermon on what did Jesus say about the Sermon at the Mountain.
I'm glad, because a lot of people twist up things Jesus said. A lot of things Jesus ain't say.
Jesus did not say.
So what
Too
was
much
some of the
interpretation.
things that Jesus said?
So basically, this was part 2. And it's the Sermon on the Mountain. This is Matthew 5. It takes place in Matthew 5. I think 6 and 7 too, but we focusing on 5. And just how to be pure at heart, how to be God honoring in all our actions, even when the enemy comes up against you. How to respond, or what did Jesus say in response to certain things happening. So just kind of, and yesterday's was interesting because I don't want to say passive, but I know or hear or see stuff, and I kind of just let things play out. But when the people have to lean on me, then I'm starting to get worn out. And yesterday's message was about having dominion, like having dominance over these situations and speaking it. See something, say something,
And a lot of times when we don't say something, when we know something is out of order or not right, and we just take that passive way of dealing with it, and then it turns on us, it ends up eating us up.
Tremendously. And I felt it last week. So I had to have hard conversations today. I actually had one today. Just like, listen, because I'm helping the kids out, these 18-year-old, 21-year-old girls, emerging women, showing them how to be women, showing my goddaughter how to get an apartment, compare rent to square footage and all that, because mom, for whatever reason, isn't checking in that department. So not just helping them, but then going back to mom, listen, I'm going to need you to get in gear. At the end of the day, this is your baby. And I still got to pop up on mines in 7th period. So I need you to get back in the game. So just having those hard conversations, recognizing there's an issue, and saying I'm willing to help, but it takes a village, like they say.
Absolutely. It really do take a village to be able to help, and especially those communication skills. A lot of times we think that when something is going to be confrontational, then we tend to back away from it. But sometimes we think of confrontation like it always has to be a fight.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then we lose our will to fight or stand up for something when we just have to know that, this is all about communications. We got to have conflict resolution skills. Everything ain't going to go our way. But when you have a dog in a fight, you have to be able to talk about that and deal with that.
I agree. And our kids are definitely the dogs in this good fight called life.
In the fight.
Absolutely.
In the fight.
So, and it's helping the girls too. Like, listen, you need to start doing this. I have one that's on campus at BSU, by the way.
Uh-oh.
Yes, indeed.
BSU. Look, I'm going to start repping BSU.
Yes, indeed. So it's like, listen, she talking about the machine broke, washing clothes. She about to have a whole fit. I'm like, girl, throw the pants over the back of the chair. Let them air dry. I can't get my homework done. Okay, work through the problems you know how. I said, it's time for you to start being resourceful. So it's not just being pulled at, but showing them how to stand on their own.
Yeah.
Hoping that it'll reduce the constant, reaching out on the back and just learning how to use the resources already there.
Yeah, because everything wasn't in a microwave at all times.
No.
Everything wasn't so fast. There's some things that we had to do literally to be able to move forward. And, a lot of times, this generation, they don't know about all of that. Like, okay, no, the washing machine or the dryer's broke. What I'm going to do?
What you gonna do? I had to tell her about the lint trap. I said, it's a lint trap that you can pull up in the front. Pull a lint out. I had to tell her all that. It ain't working. Okay, is it a number on the side where you call to get your quarters back? Because it sounds like the machine is broke. Things like that. Mom's not on campus. Auntie's not on campus. So it's just learning what to do when these situations arise.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That is true. Wow, you really got me thinking with that, because that is so true. That is so true. And they were saying that my son, we was having a conversation about the things that the younger generation just do not know what to do. And he was like, Mom, you'll be surprised that so many women, girls, that just don't even know how to cook. And that it sounded kind of foreign to me because, growing up, those were the things we loved to do, that our parents and grandparents got us in the kitchen. Like, you come on in here, you learn how to do this, you learn how to wash dishes, you learn how to wash your own clothes and do those things to be able to, you ain't got to depend on nobody else. But he say, no, Mom, they don't know how to do any of that. He said, they don't know how to cook. And so we was talking about what they were saying, that they wanted to bring back the home economic classes into school. And so he said, man, I used to love home ec. He said, I used to love cooking in there. And my son did, because he's a very good cook. Like, he has his specialty of spaghetti that everybody loves his spaghetti. But those where he learned those different things. And then, like, I remember him being 12 years old, and I was like, no, everybody in this house learns how to wash their own clothes at 12.
Yes.
Because, see, me, Mama, I don't like washing clothes. That's not one of my good chores. I will trade that off for something else.
Right.
But I know how to do it. When push come to shove, oh yeah, I gotta do it. But do I want to do it? No.
Right.
But I know how to do it, right? And so I had to let them know, look, at 12 years old, this is what you do. You learn how to wash your own clothes. And I always had the mindset with sons is that I never wanted them to have to just be with a woman just because of the things she can do for him. Like, no, you're not going to be with her just because she cooking or cleaning or in it. No, you can stand on your own 2 feet. So you have a choice. You have a choice.
Girl.
Yeah, you have a choice.
And that's what I told my son when he learned how to cook. I said, because you'll wait for no woman, myself included, to cook you nothing to eat.
Right.
You won't know. So some days he'll go downstairs at 12. I think I'm about to cook me some eggs and this. And you want some? No, I'm all right. And he'll say, it's time for me to wash my clothes. I'm going to go ahead and just grab your basket too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, listen. Time waits for no man.
That makes them very responsible.
I agree.
Very responsible.
And again, resourceful. Just knowing. Now you done did it a few times. You done overpoured something. You know how to reduce it, or you know what I mean. Just putting them in the environment to learn. And half the time I'm at work. He might already be home from school, so he figuring it out. He figuring it out.
Well, I'm telling you, we definitely have to be like, as parents raising children in this day and time. You have to be hands on.
You do.
You have to be hands-on. You have to make sure you understand and know what's going on in their life, what's going on in school, who their peers are, who they running around with. Like, you got to know all those things.
You got to know all of that. And every once in a while, I have to check that. I still got to check the phone, all that, just to see what's going on.
And sometimes, I hear some people saying that you got a 12-year-old child and they have a phone and you're in their phone. Don't you know that there's some adults will tell you as the parent that, that's their privacy?
No, okay. I hope their privacy paying the bill.
Right. But it's a mindset,
still,
like privacy. Ain't no privacy in this home. Don't no child have any privacy in this home.
No, but I do think in this generation, there's too many parents trying to be the children's friend.
Yes, we got too much of that.
Yeah, I think they felt like it was too strict in our time. So now it's like, well, let me just kind of connect in a different way. But we're seeing that some of the old school techniques, again, popping up in classes, showing them and guiding them into how to do certain things. It still reigns supreme. Like, it's still necessary to have to do that.
It is.
And I tell my son all the time, I'm not your friend. And you're not supposed to like majority of what I say to do. But that means I'm doing my job.
Absolutely. That is so huge right there. That's so huge because I'm raising you to be independent, and that eventually you won't have to. That's what parents do. Parents raise their children not to need them.
Absolutely.
Be self-sufficient and not to need and depend on anybody else. So it's my job. So yeah, you gonna buck the system because it don't feel good.
It doesn't.
It don't feel good telling no, you gotta do that, you gotta do this. It don't feel good to nobody, right?
Yeah, but just like law enforcement, I gotta stay one step ahead.
Yes. And in the long run, you appreciate those things.
They do.
Because I know there's a lot of things growing up that I didn't like growing up. I didn't like that I had to get up at 7 o'clock on a Saturday morning to wash clothes or to make up my bed. Make up the bed, I'm still in it.
Still in it.
Why am I getting up out the bed to make it up? Just don't come in here.
Right.
Just don't come in here. but it teaches those things that when you grow up, then you'll know how to tidy up things and keep your room. And still to this day, I ain't even gonna fake. I still don't make my bed up every day.
I don't.
No, I don't. Ever since I became grown, it's like it's one thing I'm not gonna do. I ain't gonna make.
I think as long as
that
that bottom part where your feet go, as long as that's still safe and sound, and you can make sense out of what's happening at the top part of the covers, you good.
Shoot, I'm single in my bed. You ever seen that meme on Facebook where it has your single friend got the book, the computer? Oh, that's how my bed looks.
That's mine.
And in my bed, I got the computer. I may have my tablet. I got a book. I got some paper. If I'm studying or reading, it could be 2-3 books there.
Yep. That's
whatever.
me all day.
In my bed.
Yep.
It has been there like that for.
That's me too. Hangers, shoe boxes. Me rushing, trying to figure it out for work that morning. Yep. And then it's a king size bed. So it's just like,
move it on over.
Right
I got plenty more room over here.
Got more room on the other side. Yeah. It's crazy, but I do think we have to get back into those old school traditions and just, teach our children like they got to be held responsible. In this world, it is definitely instant gratification and entitlement.
Oh,
with
my
this
goodness,
generation.
Entitlement.
Yeah. Major entitlement issues.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
that is so true.
Yeah.
That is so true. A lot of times we so busy trying to make up for what somebody else didn't do, whether it wasn't if it wasn't our parents and what they did for us, or if there's an absent parent.
Correct.
So busy trying to make up for someone else's downfalls.
Yep.
But that never worked.
It never works, and you always see that it didn't work in your children because that's when you can confirm that generational cycle just repeated itself.
Yes.
And then what we end up doing is indirectly passing that baton to our kids, and now they have to have the responsibility to try to break that. So I think parents definitely need to be more diligent.
It's definitely an injustice to them. Because I
It
know
is.
some things that I found out that I go through that has been generational. I always think, I say, dang, why my mother or grandmother and them didn't get this?
Yeah.
They had to be projected onto me. But,
Yeah.
But
But
that's
that was the era sweeping it under the rug. It didn't happen.
Absolutely.
Especially if it happened in the house. Don't you go to school telling counselors and all that what's going on in here.
No, we can't say
Oh,
that.
yeah.
We can't tell nobody
cannot.
that. What happens in this house stays
Stays in this house.
We can't do that. But we're changing that whole dynamic,
changing
Scott.
it.
We are changing that. We are no longer going to sit back and allow to keep sweeping things under the rug.
Nope.
We're going to deal with them so we won't have another generation talking about something they didn't know and end up having to go through so much trauma
Yes.
of everything.
I agree. Now we in the era of see something, say something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that goes all the way across the board, not
Yes.
only for Metro.
Exactly. Exactly.
Not only the Metro. If you
Exactly.
see something in your house or your school or your church or anywhere, say something about
Say
it.
something.
You can definitely do something about
Yes.
it. So, guys, we have come to our break, but we have an amazing guest in the studio today, guys. You definitely got to stay tuned.
Yes.
We have Mr. John Bell Jr. here. He's an amazing author. He's an amazing change agent, a man of God, and he is here. So stay tuned. We'll be right back, and we'll be talking about him and this awesome book that he wrote, okay? We'll be right back.
Y'all ready to move a little bit here? It's been a long time ill. Hey, I watch the Margaret. We're gonna start off in cruise control for you, baby. And nice and easy, Miller. Gonna do this for all the sexy Aquarians in here. Happy birthday to you, baby. Let the pocket watch here. Happy birthday to Miss Sabrina. Yes, right, baby. What you say, baby? I'm coming to you. And Mr. Danny got a birthday. Happy birthday to you, Danny. What you got for me, baby? A big paw. Happy B-Day to Big Paw. Watch the pocket, watch here. And Lauren got a birthday. That's coming from the sexy Troy. Too smooth, Troy. That's right. That's right. Shout out to all the sexy Aquariuses in here. All right. Hey, and Belladonna, watch the clock do the work. He's up on him, Cherie. Sweet Cherie, baby. Yes, indeed. Hey.
Welcome back to the Mignon Show. This is the illustrious Mignon. I'm the special co-host for today, Asia, and we are back with our wonderful guest today, John Bell Jr. How are you?
I am blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed.
Welcome. It's good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
So
you.
we are here to get a gift, get blessed with a gift, huh?
That's what they say.
All right. Well, for our audience out here, we're just going to give a little background into John so you guys can get an understanding of where he comes from and kind of understand where this powerful book has come from. John Bell Jr., a Maryland native, graduated from Suitland High School with honors.
Yes.
A very promising professional basketball career on the way. However, everything came to a halt when he discovered he was going to be a teenage father. Although he knew he wasn't a man yet, it was time to make a decision like one. Since the relationship with his dad wasn't great, he decided early on to be what and who he needed to his son. Manhood and fatherhood would be something John would learn at the same time. He turned down a scholarship to go away to play basketball to be the full-time star dad he knew his son would need.
Amazing. That's huge right there.
Sacrifice.
The sacrifice
Absolutely.
of that, especially when, usually in our community, we were taught that sports is how you be successful. That was one of the ways to be successful, and to turn away from that to be a father.
Yes.
That's huge.
That's major.
That right there should definitely be applauded.
I agree.
Definitely be applauded, because I don't even think I've ever heard that before. But I know people do it. It's just that I haven't heard it.
Yes.
That's powerful. Yeah,
How's
talk
that
about
journey
that. Talk about that.
Well, what happened was, my whole senior year, once she told me she was pregnant, my whole senior year, her girlfriends told me that the baby wasn't mine. She said the baby wasn't mine. So, and in my heart, I didn't want the baby to be mine because my baby was basketball. So, but it was something in the back of my mind that was saying, that's your baby. So no matter how much I tried to run or lift weights, to drink, to try to get it out of my head, it's still something in my head was saying that it was my baby. So when we were at my going away party, I get the phone call. Why you haven't come seen your son yet? My response was, you got the wrong number. I hung the phone up. So my mom called me 2 days later and was like, what's this I hear about you got a baby? I was like, well, Mom, she told me that it wasn't mine, so I never said nothing to you. But I had said something to my father. And because my father wasn't the supporter in my life, my mother was upset about that, because she felt as though I should have came to her first. But I didn't want to die. If I told my mother first, she probably would have killed me. So when my mother came, she called me, she said, let's go over there. So we went over there. She didn't even speak to her mom or her or nobody in the house. She was like, where the baby at? Walked through the door, went, picked up my son, pulled the beanie off his head, was like, yeah, this ours. So I'm sitting there looking like, how she know that? So
That's something mamas know. Because I said that with my grandson. When I see my grandson, he looked just like my son. I said, oh, yeah, that one belonged to us.
So when
it's something you know.
I didn't know at the time. I'm still young and I'm still trying to figure out a lot of things. So when she said that, I was like, so when she like, here. So when she placed my son in my arms, my whole body went numb. And you know how babies, when they knocked out sleep and they just break out with a big old smile. And when he done that, I was like, yeah, that's my man. So right then and there, because me and my father didn't have that proper relationship, that relationship that I really desired, I was like, well, okay, am I going to go to school and do the same thing to my son that my father did to me, or am I going to stay home with him and figure it out? So, of course, because I was good in basketball, I was a lot of my peers' meal ticket. And my peers were drug dealers. So they were like, man, go to school. We got him. And at that age, it was a very intelligent answer. I was like, well, how can you promise me that you're going to take care of my son if you can't promise your own kids that you can take care of yours? You can't promise your own kids that you're going to be there because of your lifestyle.
Right.
So I chose to stay home with my son, but of course I was a father before I was even a man. So I was trying to learn how to be a father and how to be a man without a blueprint. That was the hardest task in my life. So in the midst of me trying to figure out those two things, I made a lot of bad decisions. And because of the environment that I grew up in, the decisions that I made is what my environment showed me. And it looked like selling drugs was the easiest way out of my situation. So once I jumped into the drug game, things got better financially, but they got worse on the other end. So with my son, it hurt to be taken away from him, but at the end of the day, man, I thank God for the time that I was, taken out of my son's life, because that generational curse that you just spoke about, I would have passed it down to my son. I would have been an infection to my son. But now, because of Christ, I'm a positive effect to my son.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Amen.
So is the book, and this is Memories from My Cell. Memoirs. Look, I can't read today. I told y'all my eyes got dilated today. Memoirs from My Cell. So talk to us a little bit about the book.
Okay, well, the book is made up of 68 poems, but every poem that I've written is a chapter of my life. So what I did was I wrote the poem, and then I wrote the chapter describing the time of my life that inspired the poem, how I felt, how I got through it, and encouragement to anyone else who happened to go through the same ordeal that's in the story. So that's how the book is made up.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Well, it sounds powerful. Listen, you turned your test into a testimony.
Right.
Say no more. Say no more.
And so
I
what
had
made
to.
you want to write it though? Like what
question.
inspired you to want to lay all, because this is basically your life, to be as transparent, you know, to lay it down, to be as transparent. What made you want to do that? Because a lot of times when we lay ourselves down like that, you know, sometimes we get afraid of being ridiculed for what we show and what we tell other people. Because remember, we got that thing where, you know, you don't supposed to tell what goes on behind closed doors.
Well, at first, how I came, let me start with this because this is all going to add up. I was incarcerated at the time, and I had made some bad decisions while I was incarcerated, and they sent me to solitary confinement. Solitary confinement, for those who don't know, is when you stay in the cell for 23 hours a day and you only come out for an hour. So in that time, I got tired of being punished for the same mistakes that I was making, for the same adolescent mistakes. So I got on my knees and I prayed and I asked God to change me. In the midst of that time when I was in the cell, I asked God, I said, well, Lord, you got to give me a gift. Because I don't know how to do anything else but sell drugs.
Right.
And I don't want to work for no one else. So you got to give me a gift in order to feed my family and serve you. God is my witness. That very next morning after I prayed that prayer, I woke up and I wrote 11 poems. I never wrote a poem a day in my life. It was like God was sitting on my shoulder, whispering in my ear, and I was just putting it on paper. There was so many things in my head that was coming in my, and every time I try to go to sleep, it would just until I got it out on paper.
Couldn't even rest.
I couldn't even rest. So I think I got to about 150 poems, and I was like, "Well, Lord, what do you want me to do with them?" And He said, "They're chapters of your life."
Wow.
And right then and there, I knew, write a book.
Wow.
Write a book.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. And it's so important that when we do pray, that we have to also be open to hear God when He responds. So that was amazing that you even was there to be able to hear. Because a lot of times, a lot of us miss it.
We do. And it's because of the chaos in our own head. And a lot of times God is answering right away, but it's so much that's, diverting our attention, distraction.
One thing I live by, God's message travels faster when it doesn't have to travel through trash.
Lord have mercy, that just gave me a chill through my back. Lord have mercy.
Indeed.
Yes, oh my
When it
goodness,
doesn't
that's
have to travel
powerful.
through trash, man. And that was something that was one of the quotes God gave me. And He told me that because at the end of the day, life makes us worry about so much. But when we are walking in constant faith, man, nothing can happen to us that God doesn't allow. Nothing can happen to you that God didn't okay, to give it the okay to happen. So a lot of times, just because we're human, we will stress when it first hit. But then once you realize who you serve and who you are in Him, your stress should just go away.
Agreed. It's irrelevant. Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. And just like I said earlier, just leading from a place of dominance, knowing that you've been given a vision or you've been given some type of assignment from Him.
Exactly.
And it's just moving forward. They always say God give the hardest jobs to the strongest soldiers.
Yes, He
Yeah,
does.
that is
And
absolutely
incarceration
true.
is definitely, I can only imagine, a hard assignment. But it's to save lives. It's for us to survive and make somebody else survive. Because under the same type of pressure, the next man, whoever you come in contact with, might not be that strong.
Absolutely.
And in that book, you'll see there's a lot of guys that I left in the prison system that they'll never see freedom again. Like their parents will be coming to pick their body up from the federal prison system.
Wow.
Do you know how powerful that is? You know how big of a burden that is to sit with someone, and he's such a good person, man, and that made a mistake when he was a kid, and never going to be able to say I'm sorry. Never going to be able to get a chance to live his life with his family in the free world ever again. The next time he sees them is when they are sitting with God. That's big. Man.
It's a predetermined fate for sure. It's like knowing that at some point we all gonna leave this earth, but knowing that that's how you're gonna go out. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's tough.
And that power, that control being taken completely out of your hands.
So let me ask you this question, since you brought that up, that there are different people in the book, and if you had an opportunity to be able to share a day with any of those people on the outside, who would it be, and what would you guys be doing?
It's a guy in the book. His name is Randy, and I met him. He was from St. Louis. I won't disclose his real name, but in the book, his name is Randy.
Okay.
He was, me personally, I say there are street dudes, and then there are dudes that's in the streets. Randy was a street dude because he had no other choice. He was born into it. His father was a gangster, was born a gangster. His grandfather was a gangster. His mother wasn't a drug addict, but she had limited resources because she had carpal tunnel in her hands. So Randy father got killed in a shootout with two dirty police officers in St. Louis. So the torch was passed down to Randy at 12 years old. And Randy, because he was so full of venom, because he couldn't live the life of a normal 12-year-old, he was forced into manhood. And you choose to live. I mean, you don't have an opportunity to live your life, but you're forced into living as someone else. And the real you was screaming to come outside. That's torture.
Yes.
So Randy started a gang, and he had a lot of guys up under him. I'm talking about they was getting a lot of money in St. Louis. And Randy ended up ordering a hit on a witness. He beat a guy up for disrespecting his girlfriend in a nightclub one night on his birthday. He beat a guy up, and he ended up killing him with a Moet bottle. And as he's coming out of the club, the young lady that was with the guy that he killed pointed him out to the police, and Randy ordered the hit right then and there on the spot. So Randy got a letter from his girlfriend while we were incarcerated, but Randy skipped school, so he really couldn't read or write. So he always asked me to read the letters for him. And this is one letter I just wish I just wouldn't have read. But she was basically telling him that both of his sons, he had twins, that he didn't know about until that letter. Both of them followed his footsteps. One of them was killed at a cookout, and the youngest of the two went and avenged his death. Now he got a triple life sentence.
Wow.
And her last words to Randy was, "I hope there's no other kids from your bloodline, because society can't take these animals that come from you."
Wow.
And when I looked at the letter and I recited those last words to him, he was in tears. I'm talking about Randy was one of the toughest guys I've met in the prison system. I would spend, a day with Randy because I seen the pain in his eyes. I seen the pain in his eyes. And when I told him that, to learn that you had twin sons that you never saw, and they lost their life because they followed your footsteps.
Right. Wow. Man, that's deep.
Yeah, it's deep. It's deep.
That is really deep. And I know that with being in that system, that it's a lot of Randys like that.
Man, it's a lot. Inside, like, I met so many guys inside the prison system that they inspired me. They motivated me to come out here and be the man that I am today. Every guy that I met, it was no coincidence. There's no coincidence in Christ. Every guy that I've met added another chapter and a dimension to my life, and added an extra motivation for me to come out here and try to stop this monster that we call life. In the urban neighborhoods, we all experience almost the same thing. Some choose not to indulge, and some choose to indulge. But every guy that I've met in the prison system with life sentences and things like that, they are good guys. They just made a bad decision.
Right.
Just made one bad decision. And that's something that I try to tell the younger generation now. Sometimes you got to make the right decision the very first time.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and I always say sometimes the right decision isn't comfortable. It's just necessary.
Yeah.
Everything is not about comfort. It's about what's necessary.
And that's what they say, we got to get used to being uncomfortable.
Oh, absolutely. Because that's change.
Yeah, that's
we constantly
change.
evolving. That's change.
Wow.
Yeah.
Randy's story is powerful, and I'm just listening to it because I grew up with my dad not in the home because of prison. My father was in and out of jail, my whole life, and it made me growing up. It has different effect on all the children. My older brother, he's like, that's something I would never do. It made him very self-sufficient. Went out there, went into the military. Had his mind right. He knew what he didn't want to do. Me, I grew up never, ever wanting to mess with anybody that did anything that would get them in trouble because I'm not going to no jail to see you. I'm not dealing with that. Then my younger brother, he loved it. He grew up. He wanted to be just like my father, ended up getting killed in the streets at 23. And then with my youngest sister, she loved them type of dudes. Them type of dudes with her boyfriend. She loved that street type of dude. So it's amazing that 4 children out of the same house, but all of us had different views of how we watch my father.
Right.
And the things my mom went through with him, with being in that whole system.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing. It's really, really amazing when you think about that. And so this book is powerful. This book is going to really help a lot of people. A lot of people to even understand the life of even, being in prison.
That was the main reason why I wrote it. I've realized, something that God put on my spirit. He said, our people suffer because survivors choose to be silent.
Listen, you just confirmed what I just said about speaking up.
Okay.
Our people
we were
suffer
just talking about that.
because survivors choose to be silent. If you have been through something, if you've been through an abusive relationship, a failed divorce, a drug addiction, prison system, whatever, a loss of a loved one, if you have been through anything and you choose to be silent, you allow someone else to suffer because you choose not to say nothing.
Come on now. That is so true. And we are so big in that. When you said that, because my platform is domestic violence, I am a grieving mother because I also lost a child to domestic violence, a daughter. And it's my mission. That's why I've been on this platform for 12 years to talk about it. So I won't no longer be silent about the effects of things that goes on in the household that causes people to lose their lives. Like, people are dying because of the silence.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And see, me personally, when I was introduced to the drug game, they didn't tell me about the other side of a bad decision. I was handed the drugs, and I was said, look, be safe, be smart. Me tell me, you introducing me to a world that's foreign, and this is the only advice you have to give me? Okay, so now my purpose is, inside this book, I am telling this younger generation what it's like to not see your family members for years. What it's like to be shipped from D.C. all the way to Memphis or to New York and not see your family members for 5 and 6 years. I'm telling them about how it is when you come inside with that gun mentality, like you got a gun and you don't have a gun, and you have this master manipulators waiting to do something to you. I'm telling them about how the younger guys in there are getting their manhood taken from them. Look, it's no compromise. They're taking your manhood. I'm telling them about the other side of a bad decision because evidently you just don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They need to know both sides of that, and that it ain't. I don't know if they think that's a myth, that when you go to jail that those things won't happen to you, or you think you so invincible that it won't happen to you. But prison is a whole totally different world. That's their own world. It's a different code of ethics in there, right?
Yeah, and it's designed
Definitely.
to break you. I feel like if it's not another inmate, sometimes it's the correction.
Sure,
the guard,
exactly.
It's designed to
The
break
system.
you, to get you out of that mentality that you run it. They want to, assume the control.
I ran into a younger guy. He was from Simple City. And he had a lot of the older guys were actually really terrified of him because he had a Napoleon complex for one. And I'm talking about every time you would see him, he got his face balled up and everything. He was locked up. He was locked up for a double homicide. So because...
How old was this young man? Was he very young?
He was 21.
21,
He was
okay.
21. So when you come in the system and you have a murder charge, you are pushed to the top tier of the convicts because you took someone's life. So stupid, but that's what it is. the guys that take lives, they are the first ones to be respected. So when he came in with that mindset, that he still had a gun in his hand. So by the time he came in and he met me, I was already in prison for almost 6.5 years. I already knew how it was moving, and things were moving good for me. And we already had a set system. So he would come in off the weight pile, and he would like to play his music real loud. So now, because, you know, we have the veterans that's in the prison system, once we have a system, once we come from working out, we want to chill for a minute, lay back, take a nap until they count us at 4 o'clock. He likes to come in at 3 o'clock with the music loud and things of that nature. So one day he and I got into it about his music. It's in the book as well. It's called Shooter. And I knew that everyone else was terrified of this guy because he had a murder charge. And I couldn't understand. Like, I don't care what you did in the streets. When you come into the prison system, everyone's equal.
Right.
I don't care what you did, everyone's equal. You either lose respect or you gain it. So I was not going to let no one make me uncomfortable inside the prison system. So when he came in and he kept playing his music, like, I approached him. So when he barked and, you know, balled his little face up and bucked up to me, I bucked back. And once I bucked back at him, I seen the fear in his eyes. I seen the fear in his eyes, and I knew that he didn't want to go to that next level. Because in his mind, he's saying, I'm just going to go get my gun. But then reality kicked in, I don't have one. So I told him, you know, I basically broke it down to him. I was like, well, look, well, you know you don't have your gun in here, right? I just want you, I want to reiterate that to you. So whatever you're going to do, you're going to do it with these. Or you're going to have to get your knife. What? Oh, but you don't have one. So what the decision you're going to make? And then when he started asking for advice in the middle of a heated conversation, I knew I had him. So I knew it was time for me to breathe life into him. So I sat him down on the bed and I figured out his why. You know, why are you so upset?
And that's important. You have to figure out what's driving so much pain and anger.
Yeah.
He had so many unanswered questions. His mom was on drugs. He was one who was born into it. His father, he never even met his father. So he had so many unanswered questions, and that was the reason for his rage. And
a whole lot of abandonment issues, rejection, unloved, dealing with that is so huge, because when it all boils down to it, that a lot of times when people are going through those different types of things, got so much going on, so much anger and pain, when it all boils down to, we all know it goes back to childhood.
Absolutely.
Of what they didn't get at that time, whatever, that nurturing mom, the dad that wasn't there. And sometimes a lot of times people will say they don't care that they don't have a mom or dad, but we all know that's just.
Yeah, sometimes people compartmentalize
just trying to seem like, so rough and tough. It's just a facade that they're playing, like it doesn't bother them.
But I realized with Randy, I realized with the younger guy, I forgot his name.
Shooter,
in the book.
you said Shooter.
His name was Shooter, but his name was Whitey. His name Whitey.
Okay.
So I realized with him that all he really wanted somebody to do is listen. I grabbed him and I started to speak life into him, and I gave him a hug. That's what he was waiting on, but he was waiting on it from his father. So when I started to fulfill that role as a mentor, he took to me, and everything that I said to him, I'm talking about, it was law. And when they transferred me from that prison to another one, man, he cried real tears when I left, because here he go again. Here I am all alone again.
Now I'm being abandoned again, so now they triggered that again.
There's a lot of these younger guys out here today, man. They're still grown men. Grown men. I don't care how old you are. There's a lot of these younger guys that are still waiting on that hug that they never got from their father.
Absolutely.
That pat on the back that say I'm proud that they never got from their father.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why they can't move on in their life, because they haven't let that go.
Yeah, I always challenge people. I actually challenged one of the young ladies in my small group for the church. We just kind of identified some of her generational hand-downs from her father. And I just challenged her to look around. It might not have came from that person, just like for Whitey. It didn't come from Dad, but you got everything you needed from the resource you was provided. Because at the end of the day, if Dad never had it to give, you would have never got it. So it's about receiving it from who God puts in front of you to get it.
And it just goes to show you that just how amazing that God is, and how you were destined to do what you're doing. And, and I tell people, sometimes, you don't know what path it's going to take you or where you're going to have to go for God to use you. And I always use this in my story when I'm talking, because doing domestic violence, and when I was arrested for stabbing my husband, and God showed me, he said, I'm going to get the glory out of you because you have a message that you have to share. Mm-hmm. Either you're going to tell it behind the wall, I can use you there too now.
No question.
Or you're going to be out here and do it, but I'm going to use you, and God going to get the glory out of it, no matter what. No matter what.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So that's just amazing. That's so amazing that, that goes to show that, God can use any of us. It doesn't matter where we've been, what we have done, is that God will use any of us to get a message to his children, because he loves all of us. God loved Whitey. He knew what Whitey needed. That's why he had to prepare you, set you up to be there.
Yes.
Because if that would have been just think if that would have been anybody else. Whitey could have lost his life in that moment.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because everybody's not going to have that humility.
Absolutely.
To slow down, realize it wasn't about you.
They're not going to care.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
They wouldn't even have cared.
Nope.
And see, the thing was, I put in the book, I was in encouragement to the parents. Mm-hmm. I was like, well, if you have a child out there in the streets right now, there's not a lot of meat in the prison system. Mm-hmm. So if you don't want your son to have to go through this, you need to grab a hold on him now.
Yes.
As long as he's have life in his lungs, it's not too late.
Right.
Some people say, he's too far gone. I
No,
don't want to hear it. All you have to do is speak to the child that you birthed, because that child is still inside that grown man. Mm. You speak to that child that you birthed, and I guarantee you he'll submit.
Wow.
Every time. It's never failed.
That was perfect timing, because I was just getting ready to ask you if there was anything that you would like to share with our listeners, and that right there was perfect.
Yeah,
that was perfect. And don't give up, right? Don't give up on them.
It's no way in the world.
Don't give up on them. Don't let them go, no matter how hard it gets.
You can't give up on them because your parents didn't give up on you. Mm-hmm. Somebody was praying for you. Mm-hmm. That's why you're here right now. Mm-hmm. Everyone has a black, little stain in their past. Mm-hmm. But one thing about it is that a lot of people give up and they choose to take the easy way out. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people give up by not asking for some help. A lot of single moms like, I don't want my business out in the street, and a lot of them fail to ask for help. And when you don't ask for help, you're actually giving up.
Yes.
And I always say, you ask for help now, or you ask for help to pay a bond or to bury him.
Agreed. Absolutely. Listen, they did not lie when they said it takes the whole village.
It do.
Especially being a single parent.
It do.
Dad or mom. All dads don't know how to braid hair.
Yes.
Some others don't either, so no shade. But
Puffball.
Yeah.
So, John, tell us a little bit about your future. Like, what can we expect from you within the next 5 years? What's on your plate? Is there another book in the works?
Actually, I wrote 9 books while I was incarcerated.
Wow.
The blueprint for the books is already written. I just have to go back and tighten them up, and format them. But actually, me and my partner, Aaron Goff, we just started a mentoring program called the Powerhouse, where I'm going to be working on the youth's mental, spiritual, and emotional and physical. Aaron Goff is going to be teaching them how to work with their hands. He's going to be giving them a trade. Mm. Aaron Goff has been the youngest master electrician in PG County for almost 20 years.
Oh, wow.
So he's already, knee deep into his gift and his craft. But I'm saying that one cannot exist without the other. Mm-hmm. If I can teach your son how to overcome a negative decision or overcome the opinion of others, but he has no trade, my gift that I give him still, it's just that. And if you give him the skills, life skills to work with his hands and things of that nature, but he doesn't know how to deal with the boss on his job. Mm-hmm. So we're basically putting 2 entities together to eliminate the excuse. The only way this child goes through this program and don't succeed is if they don't want it.
Right. Mm. Right.
So my next book is called I'm Finally Free. Life After the Lesson. Mm-hmm. So because the first book is called Memoirs from My Cell, The Resurrection of John Bell Jr., when the listeners hear I'm finally free, the first thing they think about is me being free from prison. One thing you're going to learn about John Bell is I'm always the one to provoke thought. When I'm saying I'm finally free from the opinion of other people. That's true freedom.
That is true freedom.
That is true freedom when you're free from the opinion of other people. Because every decision that we make, whether you want to admit it or not, is because of the praise or the criticism of other people. I'm free from prison. I'm free from the generational curse. I'm free from my pride, my ego. I'm free to be John Edward Bell Jr. and not who society said I have to be.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Absolutely.
And that is huge.
On assignment.
That is huge.
On assignment. Listen, the only thing you can care about is what God say when you're on assignment. You got to always look forward. You can never look back.
Wow. That really just blessed me because I see that all the time, even with us in this whole social media era. With everything being always posted on social media, you see how everybody, people going through so many things. And sometimes I have to stop and question. I be like, why is this on here? Like, who is this for? Like, is it really for help? Or is it for sympathy? Or is it just for likes? Is it just because sometimes we have that codependency thing.
It's prominent. It's more prominent than what people think.
Yeah, it is. It goes so much deeper. So we gotta be very careful. We gotta be very careful, and we gotta make sure that we are giving ourselves the tools and using the tools that we have to become that free person, where we don't worry about what other people think. And sometimes people say, well, it's easier said than done. I used to feel like that. But now I don't even care, because usually when they say it's easier said than done, it's because you're still worried about what people think.
Real talk.
You still worrying about what people think. No, it's not. No, you just do it, and you don't worry about what people think. They knowing that they're gonna talk and do what they're gonna do anyway,
regardless. And like it's really true what they say when they say you damned if you do, you damned if you don't.
Yes.
Because if you didn't do it, something would be said.
Yes.
And because you did it, something might be said.
Absolutely.
So what you gonna do?
Absolutely. So that's big. So how can you help somebody with that? Like, because you have overcome that. How would you help somebody to overcome that? And I'm gonna call it people pleasing.
Well, it comes with constant encouragement. Because at the end of the day, nothing can be given to you if you don't want it for yourself. So you have to be able to look back at how many times you've done something for the pleasure or the pleasing of other people. And you got to look at it, what has it gotten you? When I was able to sit down and ask myself, why am I really here? Why am I in this prison system serving a 15-year sentence? Why am I really here? And then when I started to think about it, I was like, it wasn't never for me. My whole life I was chasing compliments and the pleasures or the compliments of other people. And I was like, why am I really here? And then it got to a point where I was like, the people that I was trying to please, they not even here. They not even here. The people that I was trying to get their approval and things, they're not even here. They don't care if I live or die.
That's right.
And that right there said, you got to do something different. You got to do something different. So God gave me a chance. He said, either you're going to live or die. If you're going to do it my way, or you're going to do it your way. But I'm telling you, life is over here, but death is over there. And that was it. But my encouragement to anyone was, well, you got to love yourself enough to not care about nobody else.
Right.
In certain instances.
Right.
You got to love yourself enough to only care about what's good for you and your family. And once you're able to do that, then the praise or the criticism of other people, it doesn't even matter.
Absolutely. And to understand that self is always first.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Self have to be first.
Yeah. And I think for me, as long as I get the pat on the back from God, it don't have to come from man.
That's the true reward.
That's the ultimate
real
reward.
man.
That is the ultimate reward.
Yeah.
Because you'll be sitting there waiting for man to give you some. I'm gonna take it back to social media. You can put up so many accomplishments that you have, worldly accomplishments that you have got for the work that you are doing in the kingdom, and they will scroll on past it.
Oh yes,
Right on past it.
They will scroll right on past it like it ain't nothing, like they see it all the time.
I'm telling you, pride, jealousy, all that will bind that up. You won't get the glory at all. That's why it doesn't matter. I believe that God will give you the recognition from man, from the people that he set for.
Absolutely.
So
and they
that's
gonna
like
see it anyway.
connections, the people, you know what I mean? Some of the people that have given any type of acknowledgement. I heard the podcast. I read that part of the book. Or I saw that. Thank you. It helped me mend this with a brother. It might not be my bestie, but just the fact that I made an impact, that's all I ask for.
Absolutely.
You know, that for me, I don't control it that much. You know? When it comes, if it comes, how it comes. That's on God.
Absolutely. So, John, how can they find you on social media, and how can they purchase your book?
Well, you can find me on social media on Instagram at Coach John Bell. And I have also a page for the book. It's called Memoirs from My Cell. On Facebook, it's John Bell Jr. on Facebook. But my book is available on Amazon, and also is available on my own website, CoachJohnBell.com.
Okay.
Yeah, and also, what I want to speak to you about, Mignon, is when I have an event coming up October 19th. What I do, I have social events every other month. Because when I came home and I sat at the bar, because of my new way of thinking, I'm looking for like-minded conversations. And when I didn't hear like-minded conversations, I started creating a platform for like-minded people to be able to get together and have conversations that have substance. So this is my 12th event. This event is called Sex Changes Everything. And this is going to be a hot topic because some people are still fighting it. Some people are still in a relationship that they didn't want to be in because of that one sexual experience. But it's October 19th from 7 until. It's free drinks, free refreshments. Get in contact with me on my Instagram, on my Facebook page, and I'll give you all the details. Okay. But I really encourage everyone to come out. If you check the track record of any events that I've had, all of them been a blessing. The last one would have been amazing for y'all to have attended. It's called The Lies That We Live Behind.
Right? Are you recording these things? You need to record these events.
Yeah, I had some, like bits and pieces. But the last one, it was amazing because it's basically spoke to the generational curse. It was like we were speaking about what y'all just said, what goes in the home and the house stays in the house. It's also speaking about why grandma or auntie say, oh, don't leave your kids around Uncle Boo Boo,
right?
But never tell you why.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And never get Uncle Boo Boo no help.
Yeah.
Just like you know he ain't right. Yeah,
and
we know, and you ain't either.
And for the young ladies that have been sexually assaulted or abused in their past, and they have lived with that for so long, and they don't know how to communicate it to their daughters or their peers when they do it because of the fact you choose to live behind this lie. It was a very, very emotional event.
Absolutely. But John, we're gonna have you come back. We're gonna do a part 2.
Yes,
because
definitely.
Can it be hour goes so
Can it be on my day? Can it be on my day?
Because this hour goes so fast, but you have a wealth of knowledge and just from your point of view and where you come from and all that you have been through, that you can teach so many people. So many people, the information that you have inside of you, the wisdom and everything, it can help so many people. So we are definitely going to have John to come back on the show, and I am definitely going to put it on my calendar to be at the event on October the 19th. That's a Friday night?
Saturday night.
A Saturday night, October 19th. Guys, you guys got to definitely connect with this brother. He is powerful. He is doing amazing things in the community. He has a mentoring group. So, guys, we got to connect with him and do what we got to do for the community.
Absolutely.
Do what we got to do. So, guys, you can always follow me on Facebook and Instagram at MBA Speaks, and also check out my website at mbaspeaks.com.
It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure. It
was a blessing.
And where can they find you, Miss Gorgeous?
Well, you can catch me on Instagram, spiritual_phenom, or you can catch me on Facebook, /Asia Gant.
And also that book.
The book.
The book.
Mirror's Reflection, September 2019. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. You guys sit tight. It's going to be worth the wait. It's amazing. I'm getting it perfect, as close to perfect as I can get it. This month it goes down.
Ooh.
Absolutely. So thank you guys. Thank you for watching. Please share this video, and we'll be back next week at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you again for watching.
Listen.